How blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, nor stand in the path of sinners, nor sit in the seat of scoffers. Many Hebrew scholars believe there's a progression here. There may be, but we have to be careful with the nuance. And then when you look at it, first of all, does not walk in the counsel of the wicked. This is denoting an acquaintance with the wicked and coming under the wicked's influence. You've aligned yourself so that you're walking now with them. You're hearing their counsel. And it begins to have its impact. It says, does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, nor stand in the path of sinners. Now what you've done is you're no longer just being influenced. You have adopted their ways. You have become one with them. And then here's probably the most horrific. Horrific because I've seen it. I've seen it so many times. Nor sit in the seat of scoffers. So first you come under their influence. Then you adopt their ways. Then you sit with them against the godly. And you speak against the godly. And you mock the godly. I saw this happen in seminary. I went to a seminary that was far more liberal than my pastors had imagined, than I knew when I first got there. And I saw young men who, when they got there, believed the Bible, would go out witnessing on the streets and all sorts of things. And by the end of their 3 years, they scoffed at such things. And they scoffed at someone who tried to walk in piety. And they scoffed at those who spoke of hell and heaven. And please, what you've got to understand is, I am now Paul the aged. I'm not young anymore. I fear this more now than I did when I was young. I have more reason to fear it. I choose my friends very, very carefully. I choose what I watch with great care. What I listen to with great care. What I read. Why? For the preservation of my soul. Listen, this is not just about going to heaven and get a reward. This is the difference between heaven and hell. Fighting the good fight and not coming under ungodly influence. So before we get to verse 2, where he's delighting in the law of the Lord, there are things he should not do. He should not do. Do you see that? Now, let's go back again to Romans. Do not be conformed to this world. The idea here is literally, imagine, when I was in Peru, we made adobe bricks for church buildings, for buildings, different things like that. And what you do is you've got this square box. It's about this big. You put sand in it. You wet it. Put some sand in it. And then you put the clay in it. And you press it down. You press it down. And then you flip it over. And the Amazon sun hardens that brick. And what's amazing, you walk out and there will be hundreds of these bricks. And they all look alike. How is it that they all look alike? They all look alike because they've been pressed out of the exact same mold. That's the idea here in the text. Do not be made out of the same mold that the world is made out of, that those in the world are made out of. Don't allow them. You say, well, I won't. Listen to me. Listen to me very carefully. Most of us are awake about 16 hours a day. Unless you're living in a bubble, several of those hours you are coming under the direct influence of the world. In your workplace, in your school, this is unavoidable. But the things that can be avoided must be avoided. They must. They must. You are moldable. You know, there's this big ongoing debate about freedom, free will. But when you want to define it technically, you have to admit that there is only one person who has free will, and that's God. You do not have free will. Why do I say that? Not entirely. Why do I say that? Because you come under the influence of so many people, so many ideas. The context around you is constantly pressing in on you and influencing you, so that your ideas and your decisions are not wholly yours, but the influence of those around you. Only God is above that. He's the primal cause. He's the beginning. He's the first and the last. Nothing influences Him. He's free from that, but you're not. Neither am I. That is why I must be very careful with my companions. One of the things that I always try to search out is, if there's another preacher out there, another man out there that I know, when I leave him, do I always walk away wanting to be more like Christ? Do I walk away wanting to be a better man? You see? You need that. You need to become that for other people also. So he says, do not be conformed to this world. Don't do it. Because you will find yourself sooner or later sitting in the same seat as those in the world, those who are condemned, and mocking the people who are truly seeking to follow Christ. And he says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed. It is from this Greek word that we get the word metamorphosis. It is this same word that is used of Jesus Christ on the Mount of Transfiguration, when He was transformed before the people. There is a real transformation that does occur in the life of a believer by the regenerating power of the Holy Spirit. But then I want you to see this. With regard to our justification, we have no participation. God did that. In our sanctification, God is also working for our sanctification to make us like Christ. But we do participate in that. And that is why God has transformed us inwardly. God is transforming us so that what is inward becomes outward, but we also are to participate in this. Even ministers, because Paul tells Timothy, do these things that your progress would be evident to everyone who sees you. That your progress is evident, that you are growing.